Do you think the alcohol industry purposely keeps people hooked?
Yes.
People have different relationships with
Exactly.
different things, and people are different. And I suppose, like alcohol, like any kind of drugs, any loads of stuff you put in your body, we're gonna react differently to it, and physically and mentally. And I think that's I don't think that's an unreasonable.
No, exactly. She just watched the new Chicken Run movie. I think it's called Dawn of the Nugget or something.
Oh
like that.
yeah.
So basically, that was enough for her to think, right, I'm not eating.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Inspired by Chicken Run.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah. Hey everyone, big thanks for supporting the podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you want to hear more from us, hit the subscribe button or press the bell icon for future updates. Well, hello. Welcome, Henry.
Thanks for having me.
I've been so looking forward to this
Oh, good. Cheers, man.
because I feel like when we met, like you were maybe at the start or pre-journey, and I've kind of like basically been known you throughout this whole like small part of you, because you've made this change quite rapidly, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I suppose my first kind of like question is just who are you? What's your journey, and how have you got to this point? Because it's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for anyone listening who don't know, I spent many years living in working in a corporate world for a family business, and I say this is who I am because it did play a huge role in my life. And,
Of course.
So 17 years doing the same thing, working in property, estate agency, and for the family obviously comes with its ups and its downs. And
So that was straight after school.
straight after school,
You
yes.
just was thrown into that family business, were you?
Yeah, well, technically, I was doing it. I was working as just a Saturday assistant, and just a bit of pocket money, really. And then I went to sixth form, but
So this was like 16.
yeah. So and I basically went to sixth form. Didn't do too well, and I had to resit the year. But then I had a meeting, and I sat down, and it was not really anything. I didn't really want to do sixth form, but you just go through the motions, don't you? You think, okay, do that, go to university, etc.
I feel like in sixth form as well. Like I was the same to some degree. On the first year, I discovered other things which were far more interesting than doing work.
Partying, booze.
Yeah.
Again, you're having a good time, and I made the mistake of going to like doing consortium. So I went between two schools, really.
And there was that at our school. In fact, your school, I think, was part of our consortium on it. Oh, I don't know, actually.
Potentially. But yeah, so anyway, failed that. And then I chatted to my dad. He was like, are you going to resit? Are you going to do it? I went, no. He went, I don't think you're getting a job with us. So basically, he was very
harsh.
Yeah. I'm glad though, because obviously not everything's served on a plate, really.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, well, what does this mean? So I started door knocking, working on behalf of British Red Cross, and that was tough. It was 100% commission, so I would rock up, say, oh, by the way, I'm here on behalf of British Red Cross. Don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you something. Go through this whole script. And literally, if you don't sign anyone up on that day, you do not get paid. And every time you do sign someone up, you get paid. I think it was £5. So I was out there 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night by the time we got back. And I signed up one old lady for £5. She ended up cancelling. So
you were like,
it was tough, but again, no job opportunity my family place, and then something did come up, and I took it because it was anything would be better than what I was doing before. So, and it turns out I was good at it, and I think having your name above the door does come with that extra sort of passion as well, because you do the work with pride. So I just kind of fell into it, but I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of transferable skills. So doing that for as many years as I was in an office environment, then I was out on the road traveling. It came, as I said, with its ups and downs, and I just realised, wait a second, I didn't really have time to sort of think about what it is that I want. I was so grateful to have that job at the time and build my way up.
You kind of fell into it to some degree, but not in others, I suppose.
Yeah, and because again, when you do something for so long, you get good at it. So having done that, I think lockdown obviously played a huge role with regards to planting that seed of, okay, is this kind of what I want? But then all of a sudden the world opens up, and then you didn't have time to think. It was literally Boris just says, right, estate agents can go back to work. Boom, there we were. And So that was kind of like, again, I was in autopilot, and then...
You know what? Side note on that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people during lockdown, when everyone it was basically like a reset button where everyone's like, actually, do I want to be doing this? I wonder how many people have kind of had a bit of a light bulb moment, or it's changed their view on the way that they should be. I think like working or living their life. Yeah.
If it be job, if it be relationships. I mean, I saw it, bear in mind, firsthand when I was going to people's houses. They were splitting up because they realised all this time I'm been with my partner, we don't like each other.
Yeah.
Because normally you'd be at work, so you'd only spend 25% of your time with each other, whereas if you're spending 100%, so there was a lot of that. And so having obviously decided, okay, I was putting on loads of weight. I was living for the weekend, so I really was just sort of coasting through the week, hitting my targets, whatever, and then I would be really looking forward to the pub. And I was never a midweek drinker. It would always be Friday and a Saturday.
Yeah.
And if I'm drinking, I'm drinking. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and then that would happen, and then that obviously came with takeaways and being lethargic, not wanting to go to the gym. So I ballooned to I think, well, I never know what my highest weight was because I never built up the courage to get on the scales at my heaviest because I just didn't want to know the answer.
Yeah.
But the heaviest I've ever clocked it was about 18 stone.
Right.
And that's when I was like, right, something's got to give it. And I tried all these fad diets throughout the years, etc. And then I just realized there's a common denominator here. There's a problem. And what is that? And I think I felt like I wasn't on the right path with regards to work. And it was, my weight was becoming an issue with regards to my relationship. Nothing, it wasn't anything to do with my wife and her thoughts towards my weight. It was more the implications with my health and my snoring, etc. And that was kind of like, okay, a big wake up moment.
And your confidence as well, isn't it?
My self-esteem, really. I mean, I just wasn't being my authentic self, really. I felt like I was a shadow of myself, hiding in the background, not really. And I would hide behind booze. Booze would give me that confidence. If it be at an event or a wedding or anything, I would
Dutch
drink.
courage.
That's it.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think the main thing really, and kind of what got me here and what started my journey, was realizing I wasn't on the right path with regards to work and not really knowing what my path was.
Yeah.
But I know I wanted to help people. I didn't know how. That's what always fulfilled me in my previous job was, if it be helping them find their perfect home or helping them move, and that sort of satisfaction it gave me when someone said, "Oh, thank you so much," and they were so grateful. I never really cared about the commission and the money. That just kind of came hand in hand with it. But
it was more the gratification,
it was just
helping people.
It just made me feel good.
Yeah,
and
like helping someone find a new house and find a new home, and like
it was a romantic sort of idea.
Absolutely.
But I did like that, and so that's kind of what I was striving for more of. And but I guess when it came to my journey with regards to weight, my main thing was, and someone asked me this a few weeks ago, what was the point, like when you realized something had to give? And that was basically with me and my wife. We were sleeping in separate rooms because my snoring had got so bad. I don't know if you've I posted about this a few months back, but I went to a specialist regarding my snoring, and I thought I had sleep apnea, if you've heard of sleep apnea. And so I went out, and again, because the situation was getting quite urgent with regards to me and my wife, where she wasn't sleeping, she was going into the other room. It was it was kind of putting a wedge between us, really. So I went private, got in there, and as soon as I walked through the door, this guy, and thankfully he was so blunt with me, he looked at me, and went, "You don't have sleep apnea."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And he went, "How do you know?" He went, "You just need to lose some weight, pal." It was so frank about it. But I'm glad, because I needed someone to, it's funny, isn't it? No one really tells you how big you are until afterwards, and they go, "Bloody hell, you're a shadow of your former self," or whatever. I've heard it all. But
and did that solve the problem?
Yes and no. Again, being the lazy person that I was, so he was like, "Look, I can tell, you ain't got sleep apnea. You're holding all the weight around your neck, so you need to lose weight." Or he went, "Look, you could wear a mouth guard, and that could help. But personally, I think your problem is, your muscles around your neck, etc." So anyway, so what do? I buy a mouth guard, and I am like, that other thing, what you said, losing weight sounds like too much hardware.
Yeah.
So I got the mouth guard, didn't even get it out of the box. Again, that just shows sort of where my mind was really. Anyway, and
Just
then
put it aside.
I put it aside
and crack on.
I cracked on, and I started to try and lose a bit of weight, or at least show my wife I was making better decisions. But I'd still be going to Coupland's or Greg's and getting cheese straw, you name it.
So is that like were you secret eating a little bit?
Yeah, because I was out on the road and I had no one was judging me. Like if you're in an office and you come in with a huge pile of stuff, people are thinking, all right, that's not good. But when you're in your car in between appointments, do what you want. It's like a kid in the sweet shop, innit? You know what I mean? So
literally,
or me in the bakery. You know what I mean? A man in Greg's. So yeah, I was feeling my boots.
Greg's.
So and then eventually, it was the more I looked into it and that issue, I think it was my path, my sort of purpose was kind of having left that to work on myself. That's kind of what brought me to, I guess, where I am now. Yeah,
because I think, like, it's fair. I don't know whether you think this is fair, but I'll say it.
Go on.
I think it's. I think a few people have these kind of moments where they're like, actually, I need to probably change something in my life because I've reached it. It's usually a point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or a, I don't want to say a breaking point, but maybe a epiphany or something like that. But rather than, and some people then make like a few change, or one change or a couple of changes. But you've like flipped hard, man. Like really fucking hard. Like, and I'm just like, whoa, what the? Like, from my perspective, I would just find that so difficult to do. So I've got a lot of respect for how hard the discipline that you've had to put yourself under. And I suppose I'm trying to find out from you is what is that drive? What is that visceral thing inside of you that has been like, actually, I'm going to go from this to this fast?
Yeah, I mean, the speed of it was never intended.
Yeah.
I guess I felt like I had a point to prove because having decided to leave the family business, everyone was like, so what are you going to do?
Yes.
What do you mean you're leaving?
Yes.
Like, you've got a cushy job, you're earning good money,
and that makes
nice
a lot of
car.
sense. Yeah.
And all these things people were saying were materialistic, which I honestly didn't really care for. As I said, the money was never the drive for me. It was helping people. And so when everyone's like, well, why would you leave this? This could all be yours one day. And so really, when I left, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I needed kind of an excuse. When people asked me, what are you going to do? I needed something to tell them. So I started looking into it and I was like, right, what can I do? Where can I go? I decided to go to a fitness retreat in Thailand just so I could basically shut them up.
Yeah.
I just said, right, this is what I'm doing. Stop questioning why I'm leaving. I'm going to go work on myself and find myself. Yeah. So I did that and, lost, I think, 21 pounds or something. I won't lie.
How was that, actually?
It was mega. You know what? It was 4 weeks away from the wife, which was the longest time we spent apart. But
which must have been hard.
Yeah, but I guess with that time apart, your love grows fonder anyway. And I think I felt like I nailed it, and everyone was giving me compliments, just like, "Oh, you're looking great! Oh my god!" And so I said 21 pounds at the time. I was like, killed it, So I was coming back afterwards, like strutting around, like, hey,
yeah.
I mean, but
it's each. That was to you then. That was
it was good, and I won't lie. I think part of me, I'm glad I sort of carried on because there was that sort of lazy part of me who was like, okay, you've done it now. So now what? What's next? But
that almost like lit the fire inside you, though. Didn't it?
So it's but it was mega. Thailand was incredible. But again, so it wasn't quite what I anticipated. So I got there and people were on the balcony smoking and drinking. And I'm thinking, hang about. This is meant to be
everyone's just having a laugh.
Yeah, it's meant to be a retreat or something. So I was like, and I spoke to this woman. And are you allowed to do that? She went, it's not a prison. We're adults. We can do what we want. Yeah. So what that also taught me was discipline. Because I thought we were going to be strict. You can't have any naughty food or chocolate or whatever. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I've got to really teach myself then. If I want to get the most out of this, I've got to be really strict with myself here. So we were right on the strip, though. I mean, you could bars, restaurants, you name it. So you got 7-Elevens on every street corner. I could have gone and got a load of chocolate and whatever. So
Yeah.
So really, I had to be strict then, and that helped sort of teach me lessons when I came back. And then from coming back, I won't lie, I thought I nailed it. As I said, I was about a month just sat in my boxes playing FIFA, applying for jobs, or at least telling people I was applying, but some of them I didn't really want. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be employed or start something myself. And my brother, he was like, look, mate, what are you doing? This is my little brother as well. He was like, come and join the gym with me. Come on, like, let's do this. And then, anyway, so I've got a lot to thank him for, really. He got me back on the road with regard to on track and just having that sort of purpose. And so I put everything into, all right, I've started, now I'm going to finish what I've started. And I just went into fitness, went into everything. But whilst we're out in Thailand, my wife, she wanted to go veggie. So she came to meet me out there we were out there for just less than 2 weeks, and she wanted to go vegetarian. And I was like, right, okay, why?
I'm guessing she didn't meet you to announce that she was doing that.
Yeah. By the way, what's really important, but I need to tell
You're
you,
like,
Tyler.
oh my God, what's happening? Oh, right, okay.
I met someone else. No, so yeah, she just basically we got this beautiful Thailand's so cheap. So really, I went to town on some of the hotels, and we had this beautiful hotel with like a bath on the balcony. It was stunning, honestly. But again, dirt cheap. And so she was watching some movies on her iPad and whatever, and she comes through, and I'm like, she was like, yeah, I want to go veggie. I went, right, where's this come from?
Yeah.
She just watched the new Chicken Run movie. I think it's called Dawn of the Nugget or something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, that was enough for her to think, right, I'm not eating.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
inspired by Chicken Run.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, right, okay, let's assess this then. I went, I will support you as much as I can. When we're at home, we'll cook vegetarian, but when I'm out with my mates and my brothers and the lads, I'm having steak.
Yeah.
I'm having pizza. I'm having whatever. You know what I mean? And I made a real point of that. I'm like, yeah, we'll do it at home, but I want to
still do what I want to do.
When it's man time, I'm going to get my protein in, and I'm going to do this anyway. So then we just got home and we were eating veggie, and I was seeing the difference. I was feeling good, feeling less bloated, not having dairy, etc. And then we watched a few things on like Netflix, some documentaries, and literally both looked at each other like, let's go vegan.
Let's do it.
Let's go, whole hog, excuse the pun, but
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we did, and overnight cleared out the cupboards and haven't looked back since. And I think that when it comes to discipline as well, so obviously not only cutting the booze, cutting the smoking as well, cutting that.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's
3 vices.
I mean, really,
like.
major vices. I mean, I was vaping all the time in my car. Like I had a Greg sausage roll there, I had a vape there. You know what I mean?
remember you being in a meeting like at Superfly. You were just like,
oh mate, of course, me and Steve.
Yeah, you and Steve.
I mean, so what would happen is I'd
to
see.
be fair, I was like, fair enough.
I'd see him do it. I'm like, well, if he's getting this out,
start vaping.
Yeah, I mean, so it was. I'd leave the car, and if I haven't got my vape, I'm like, oh God, I'd be stressing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, with regards to I guess discipline, as you said, but
So was vegan the first? It was veggie and the vegan thing. Was that the first thing that you kind of like hard? We went cold turkey on pretty much. I don't mean to use those cliches, but I
guess booze was, but
booze was first.
Yeah, I never intended. So when I went to Thailand, so basically I had like one last blowout in like October or something. That was, it was kind of like a belated stag in a way because I eloped in April. My mates were like, we never got to have a stag with you, so they kind of wanted to celebrate something. So we ended up just renting a house out in Lincoln for a couple of nights. And that in my head before I went to Thailand, that was my last hurrah, if you know what I mean. I went pretty big. And I felt god awful for it afterwards, but I didn't realize that weekend would be the last time in my head I'd ever drink again. And I never set out to be sober. All right, I just thought, all right, I'm going to stop drinking. I'll do it for a month, or I'll do it and then then go on. And I just realized I've got past that sort of point where I'd probably say it was 3 or 4 months where I was like, yeah, this is good. this makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm becoming more who I'm meant to be in
Yeah,
a way.
yeah.
So that was my first vice, and then I just stopped smoking and vaping along with that. So that was just sort of I packaged all
Smoking
that together.
associated with drinking. Yeah.
And then the veggie and vegan side came next. But I
Did
think
it? Right. Okay.
I think the booze. I think it's all the discipline is. If I can do it for this,
Yes.
I can do it for that.
It's like transferable skill.
Yeah, definitely, in a way. And again, I didn't really know I had that in me.
Yeah.
And I won't lie. So before I went to Thailand, me and my mates, we'd gone out for like a day sesh. We sat in a beer garden, and I could hear one of my mates talking about it, and I was, within earshot, he wasn't sort of speaking behind my back or anything. And he was like, do you reckon he's going to do it though? Do you reckon he's actually got it in him? And then I could hear him.
That's your inspiration then, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and then one of my other mates was like, he can hear you, And I went, no, he's got a point though. My track record proves that likelihood is that I probably will fall short or whatever. But I was like, I'm going out there for a reason. Let me show you. Anyway. So
here you are.
Here I am. Yeah. I'm on a podcast talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, fuck you. No, kidding, mate. Love you to bits. But it is that kind of and that did drive me.
Well, that's friends, innit? Friends are generally a bit more honest with each other, aren't they? And being a friend is being able to be even if you kind of like have a disagreement, you come out of it and it's fine. Like
exactly.
You have a strong bond, don't you?
And bless him, he's since messaged me and just said, look, every time I see a picture or whatever of you now, I'm just blown away with what you've done and how you've done it. And so for him to know that he was sort of part of my driving force, but I didn't do it for anyone else other than myself. But I didn't set out to hit these milestones or anything. I just kept doing it, feeling better. And there's loads of people that have helped me along the way, but deep down, it boils down to you. That comes down to weight, that comes down to cutting booze or just any vices that you might have. You can tell people you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I think they need to want to do it for themselves. I just hit the point of, I would never say I hit rock bottom because I never got to that point. I would never say I was, you met me, I say before, but when I was bigger and whatever, and I would like to think I never came across as depressed or down in the dumps.
No.
It was just, but I just wasn't being my authentic self, and I probably would. Well, you remember that picture on LinkedIn that that story I did, and then some people like, what was it? Deck from Ant and Deck got a bit fat, didn't he? And like just comments like that. But I took those comments and I owned them in a way. I was like, you know what?
Well, then you just reposted it, didn't you?
I reposted it and I was like, but it hurt.
Yeah.
However, it's like I can choose to let this hurt me, or I can choose to do something about it and use it to my advantage. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, do you know what the saddest thing is? I'd actually lost some weight by that point, so I was feeling really good in that picture. And then for someone to say that, I'm like,
I mean, generally, my advice is not to take what random people say on the internet seriously. People have just got an obsession with my hair on YouTube.
On YouTube, have they?
Yeah, just constantly like.
What do they say?
They say like, "Oh, yeah, you must be going through something with that wig," or. Or like something like, some dudes just shouldn't, like, when they get to a certain age, just shouldn't have a certain hairstyle. I'm like, what? What's wrong with my hair? But anyway, then I did the same. I kind of reposted it on LinkedIn. I was like, this is funny, isn't
I mean, these people, I think a lot of time, you don't know who these people are, these trolls or whatever. And
no, you never know who they are. They're always anonymous. They're not like someone who they never, you never say stuff like that because it's just rude.
Well, that's it. But then you just think, okay, well, if I was to see what you were doing, I mean, the funny thing is, when I did look through some of these comments and whatever, when I did get them, and this lady, she said this horrible thing, I can't remember what it was, but I looked on her profile because it's Facebook. And she's a mental health worker.
Wow.
And you just think, really?
Yeah,
practice what you preach in a way. But again, rather than get into a slagging war or whatever, I just saw that and thought, you're going through your own shit. So
exactly.
Yeah.
People are usually projecting when they're when they're like that, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So you did your Thailand thing. And then after that, when was that? Sorry, October?
That was November 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
So now we're almost like 14, 15 months on from there. And I think especially over the last, it was like the big reveal almost. You were waiting, weren't you, for the right moment, and you were like, and I'm sure everyone was like, "Fucking hell, he's lost a lot of weight." Yeah.
Do you know what? I didn't have social media. All I had was LinkedIn, and because I didn't have a job,
You went dark for ages.
Yeah, because I had nothing to talk about. You know, I had nothing to promote. I didn't, you know, so in a way, and I thought, you know, with LinkedIn being so business sort of related, I just thought it would be a bit strange for me to keep posting updates and stuff when I haven't really got a call to action or whatever. So yeah, and what happened was I ran the South Cave like 10K or something like that. I remember saying to my brother, my younger brother again, I was like, you know, I kind of feel like I want to post this.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of what I've done and what I've been able to achieve. And he was like, do it. I was like, but who's gonna want to see it? You know what I mean? Like, is it a bit sort of, again, is it a bit ego? Is it this, like, hey, look at what I've done? So I was battling with that, and I did have a few people in my ear about the whole ego thing and whatever. And you know,
I can relate to that. It's a balance in it. You don't want to come across as arrogant or narcissistic, but also you want to be honest and show what you've done.
Yeah, I was proud of it.
And you should be, yeah.
And I think so. I just basically said, look, you know, I know I've been away for a while. In the time that I've been away, this is what I've been able to achieve, etc., etc. And it was more just highlighting, like, look, I've taken some time out to work on myself, and this is what I've been able to do, and kind of give that inspiration to say, you know, not who's to say you can't do it as well. So and then people did really resonate with it, and it was lovely because I had people in my inbox basically saying some lovely things, but also asking questions like, okay, well, what did you do? What's this retreat you spoke of? You've said you've been 7 months sober or whatever it was at the time. You know, how did you do it? Have you got any tips, etc.? So
on that, how did you do it, and how have you found it over from since you started up until now? I'm really interested in that. Someone who loves a glass of wine.
Yeah, again, luckily for me, I wasn't a midweek drinker, so it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, cut it out, because I'm only cutting out 2 days. So those people who drink during the week, it might just be one glass of wine, it might be two. That's going to be a lot harder because it's a bigger habit.
It's almost like cultural. It's almost like, it is a bigger habit.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking, you know, I'm talking about cutting out 2 days. And let's say I don't know obviously what your drinking's like, but you have a glass of wine every night, but it's only one glass of wine. You're not binging. Whereas the difference was I was binging.
Yeah.
So for you to cut that out, and if you like to just have a glass of wine with a meal with your wife or whatever, then great. So I was quite fortunate that I hadn't got to that point, and I think a lot of people don't see that as a problem. And I'm not saying you've got a problem, but I think that would be a lot hard. In my opinion, that's a lot harder to curb than what I do.
Yeah.
So initially, as I said to you before, I didn't set out to be sober. It was never the intention. It was just, I'm doing it one step at a time, and I feel good for it, so I'll just continue. And then it got to a point where I was going to social situations, and I was like, okay, well, at first it was a bit like, okay, it was when I did like Dry January years ago. I used to always feel like, okay, I'm not drinking. I've got a Beck's Blue here or something, and this is really boring.
I did it once, and I've struggled to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's because the problem I feel with like Dry Jan is you've got this 31 days, whatever, where you sort of you hope you're waiting for the end so much, so you're not enjoying the journey.
And then you get loads of people. Then a lot of people just end up binging in early February.
Mate, I literally used to wait until 12 o'clock. I remember going out, and I'd have a pint, go ding, see you later, gone. And then it was all that hard work.
Yeah.
But it's like you sort of do it as a test to yourself, don't you? It's like I ain't got a problem. I could do 30 days, whatever. So So basically, how I started was doing that. Went to Thailand again, so talking about discipline and just sort of testing myself. I guess maybe proving it to myself, but proving it to others. My older brother Steve, he's also a sober, so he was a massive influence as well.
Right.
So when I came back,
and how long's he been sober for?
So he's probably, I would say, not quite 2 years, but getting on.
Yeah.
So
right.
You know, so it completely transformed his life, and just, I guess it just gives you that extra clarity, and you know, just see things clearer. And he was so much more driven at work, and I think that's kind of what made me realize when leaving the business as well, seeing how focused and, you know, that he was.
So it was almost a bit.
It was like, I was. yeah, when I spoke to him when I got back, and he told me about this book, I'd already made my mind up in a way.
Yeah,
but it was like, oh, I listened to this book. We listened to audiobooks. It's like, just try it. And it just kind of explained the science behind, binging, the science behind why you used to black out and why you used to get that anxiety after your first drink, and why you were sort of always chasing the dragon. So nothing would ever be as good as your first drink feeling. And it's like the second drink and so on. So,
well, it's like, booze is that classic thing. It makes you feel better than you actually, well, it makes you feel, no, I've heard something where it makes you feel like something good is going to happen whilst you're drinking. And not necessarily something good will happen, but it makes you feel, well, as you're drinking, that something good is going to happen.
Yeah, it's like that anticipation. But what was happening for me is I would drink, and then I'd have this anxiety would come on. No, I'll never, again, I don't want to jump on the anxiety bandwagon. I appreciate people have panic attacks, they get anxious, etc.
Well, no, booze, people have different relationships with different things, and people are different. And I suppose, like alcohol, like any kind of drugs, loads of stuff you put in your body, we're gonna react differently to it, and physically and mentally. And I think that's I don't think that's an unreasonable. No, exactly.
Place. I'm always just a bit conscious of sort of using.
You don't want to come across as preaching.
Yeah. But what would happen was, I would be drinking it, and I would feel this build up. Okay, I'm having a good time. And then all of a sudden, it's like, but remember, it's in the post. That hangover, you know how it makes
anxiety cloud.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm already feeling the anxiety before it's even happened.
Oh god!
So it's that kind of because I just really used to struggle with hangovers, and what I would do is, I was a comfort eater, so I would. If I was feeling down, I'd be like, right, okay, what's going to solve this? Let's get a takeaway. Salt. Let's give me sugar. Give me any additives or whatever. Give me that stuff. So that's kind of, then that would be an ongoing cycle. Then I wouldn't want to train on Monday, etc. So I knew that had to go. And so when you're talking about like how did you do it, and what's the trick? I guess the need to want to do it was higher than the need to want it, I guess. And I just realized my relationship with it was, I've had fun with it. And it's a chapter of my life that I will never look back on and regret. I had some of the best moments, some of the worst moments. But I just knew it wasn't right for me. And but it took me 33 years to. Well, I wasn't drinking as a baby, but it took me. It took me.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It
so
took you
I would
up
say,
to now.
I would say my first drink was when I was like around 12, 13. Like,
was it?
So it was my sister's party or whatever, and again, I had a massive family, so you kind of. Yeah. It wasn't encouraged, but it wasn't discouraged. It was just one of those things, and
it's very much part of British.
Yeah, I think so. It was the 90s as well. The whole lads, ladettes, sort of that Brit pop kind of, and then I guess rave culture. Although I'd missed that, but then there was obviously a hangover from that as well.
Yeah, and then that brings in drugs, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the booze thing, we've got some quick fire questions, and this is new.
Oh, okay.
Superfly sessions.
Sweet, let's go.
So, I haven't properly looked at these, so I apologise.
Always helps.
So, are you ready?
Yeah. Go on.
Is alcohol really the problem, or is it how we use it?
I would say it's how we use it. It's what you wanting from alcohol. What are you wanting what feeling you wanting to get from it? Because it isn't going to necessarily solve your problems. Because it's seen on TV and stuff. Celebrate alcohol. If you're sad, alcohol. You can have it for a wedding. You can have it for a wake. It's so. I would say alcohol's not necessarily the solution, but I wouldn't say it's a problem. It's your relationship with it, and and in how you treat it for different scenarios. So I'm never here to say stop drinking, but it's knowing that if you've got a problem, to sort of just be more aware of it, really, and not hope that it's going to fix everything.
Well, it sounds like that's the way that you've got to where you are. Is not putting like a massive pressure on it. It's like, right, I'm going to stop, but. You haven't been like, it sounds like you haven't put like loads of pressure on yourself to carry on stopping, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why it's nurtured a culture in your life, which is actually, it's fine. Like, I don't miss it.
And that's why I think with the birth of the, I know these are quick fire, so apologies, but that's why, the birth of the sober social, etc., and all of that kind of stuff, it's proven that you can have a good time without it, whereas I didn't think that was possible before.
Yeah. Great. Some say alcohol-free beer is pointless. What's your response to that?
Again, so for me, alcohol-free beer, I don't crave what the feeling of what beer gave me, really, because I knew that always came with baggage. Whereas the taste I do crave. I do crave a decent, crisp lager.
Yes.
And nowadays you can get lagers or IPAs or whatever with like certain nootropics and additives, etc. So it might be lion's mane, it might be ashwagandha or whatever. All of these sort of things that's meant to give you a bit of a calming sort of sensation. And so I look at it and go, okay, well, if it's a cold day, like for instance, me and my dad and my brothers, we were biking in the Netherlands, and it was stunning, honestly, in such remote places, you know, pinpoint on the map, you would never have gone there before, but hopped on our bikes and went along, and it was a gorgeous hot day. All I wanted was a beer. I didn't want to feel drunk. I just wanted a beer, and that it's crave my satisfaction. So, it was For me, I don't think they're pointless at all. I think they're just getting better and better.
Yeah, they vary in quality dramatically.
I mean, it depends what. Yeah, I mean, look, I remember doing dry Jan years ago, and Beck's Blue was the only option, and I won't lie, I would rather drink piss. I mean,
I remember when Tony was pregnant. Well, yeah. I wonder if the Beck's marketing team are listening. If they are, sorry. But no, I remember drinking. Tony was pregnant. I can't remember if it was first or second. And we went out because it was someone's birthday or something. She had a non-alcoholic beer, and it was like an Erdinger.
Yeah.
It was like in a bottle. I think it was in Pave, and it was really good. But then I've had a Brewdog, which was shite. Like the first sip was amazing. The second sip was like, no. That is just not nice.
I think in a way, sometimes they're seen as a bit of an afterthought, especially with some of the big breweries. They're like, okay, we're doing it. We're giving you an alcohol-free beer. Like you said you wanted it. You said there's a demand for it. Have it.
Yeah,
so there's not really much thought gone into the science behind it and actually tasting good. It's just, it's got our label on it. So Brewdog, for instance, I've had theirs. They're a bit watery. They're a bit tasteless.
Bit watery, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, wait, actually, why am I drinking this? Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Exactly how I've experienced that. This is a tough one, I think. Be honest, do you ever miss getting drunk?
Yeah. All right, so to answer that, I miss the chaos. I miss the stupidity. I miss the just getting stupid with my mates and not worrying about... I guess I don't worry about what people think now. If anything, I worry less. But I was a people pleaser when I was drunk. I wanted to try and sort of perform and whatever. And so
to your own detriment?
Yeah, 100%. God, yeah. I would do stupid things, and I would do these stupid dances and whatever, and know that I could hear people laughing at me, but also I'd be like, all right, they're laughing at me, but there's some people laughing with me, so I'm going to continue. And I would sort of, make a tit of myself, really, just to sort of make people laugh. So that part I don't miss, but part of with my mates and just kind of losing all of your inhibitions and just that, just when you're hugging each other saying I love you and all that sort of stuff, I do kind of miss that. But if you romanticize it too much, you forget about all the other bad stuff. So for me, I'm like, okay, I do miss that, but at what cost? And it sort of brings you back around and go, nah.
And also, it's the other things that you've now got that maybe you didn't have previously. I think that
100%. I think a lot of people, when they do quit the booze, they think they've got this hole that they need to fill, or at least they think they have. So they think about all the things they're losing as opposed to all the things they're gaining.
Well, surely the hole will just be filled by whatever else you're doing.
Well, I guess, but like dry Jan, for instance, people will not go out. They'll literally go, I'm doing dry Jan, I can't go out because I don't want to be around a load of drunk people. Whereas if you can sort of find a way to incorporate yourself in those sort of environments, or just find something else, if it be sport, if it be another hobby or whatever, if you keep going to the same place, and you're going to get the same results, basically.
Conspiracy question. Do you think the alcohol industry purposely keeps people hooked?
Yes. I mean, again, I've got to be careful. I don't sound too... tinfoil hat or anything here, but no, I think, for instance, it's at Christmas, when I walk through Sainsbury's, and I'm saying this very openly and honestly.
Yeah, man.
They built forts of booze. You
Yeah,
were walking down a corridor of boxes of beers, and you walk through this fort, and then turn to the right, and you've got a pyramid of Baileys, and I mean like a huge pyramid. I'm like, Jesus, they want us to drink.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when it was dry Jan, what I noticed was they weren't no one promotes dry Jan as much as they don't promote veganuary, because if you think about it, there's so much money in it for these supermarkets.
Of course,
if you're
yeah,
promoting
yeah.
don't drink, look at the benefits of not drinking.
Don't buy my product.
And then
Yeah,
all these
yeah, yeah.
people, let's say, like, you know, your big beer companies, your big breweries, they're thinking, hang about, you're promoting not drinking. What's
Yeah, yeah.
going on here?
Yeah, yeah.
And then let's say all the farmers and the butchers, whatever, you're promoting not eating
Yeah,
meat.
yeah, yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Think
yeah.
about what side your bread's buttered on, sort of thing. So I think there's this reluctance to want to promote the benefits around it because there's too much money in it.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that within the kind of food industry as well.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried to pressure you back into drinking?
No. Luckily, again, you choose the right people to surround yourself by. Again, when you're doing stuff like dry Jan, when people just think it's a bit of a fad or whatever, yeah, I get there might be a pressure there. But because I'd gone away whilst I'd gone sober, I was in Thailand, so there was no one sort of pressuring me there. And then when I got back, although I didn't announce I was sober, I think people were beginning to see the benefits and see I was becoming a better person. And so I don't think they really wanted to sort of put a spanner in the works, really.
Yeah, because they were enjoying...
Yeah, they were seeing the new, better, improved me. And I'm not saying I was a bad person before.
No, I don't think you were.
No.
My experience of you is very similar.
Yeah, good. So I would say no, but because now I've set my stall out and I've been very open and honest about it, and as I said, with regards to being sober from the booze, I don't think no one would. I'm not saying they wouldn't dare. I'm not going to knock them out or anything, but no one would even dare approach it with me because they just know I'm so far removed. Like I asked my wife,
which is weird because I think go for it. Because I think that you would react really nicely and adultly.
Oh yeah. I'll headbutt them first.
Yeah. Drop it.
No, I mean, I said to my wife the other day. Actually, I said, I went, look, if we had a bit of a Barney and we fell out, whatever, and it was a really bad thing. Which again, what I would say, since boozing, we just don't argue. Since quitting the booze, we don't argue anymore. The only time we used to argue is when we've been drinking. So that was a huge deciding point for me as well. But so I said to her, I went, if I just went AWOL, all right, and I slammed the door, went out the house, whatever, and you hadn't heard from me in hours, is there any part of you that thinks you would find me at the end of a bar, drowning my sorrows? She went,
you were going to say bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, well, whatever. But
I love the cliches. Bring them.
Yeah. So,
everyone knows what they mean.
So basically, she went, absolutely not. She went, I know you wouldn't. So that kind of, if she thinks that, then clearly other people are going to be thinking that, and they're not going to try and encourage.
I think you've already answered this, but I'll ask it. What's harder, giving up booze or dealing with other people's reaction to you giving up?
Again, I'm kind of so far gone now with regards to. I mean, it must be difficult. Let's say you're in a football team or a rugby team or whatever, and you constantly surround yourself by that sort of male macho environment, and you go into after the game, everyone's got the pints and the drinking, or you go into, let's say you go into the darts or whatever, and it's very well, that's what I mean. Like
that's
it's
booze party, isn't it? Pretty much.
It's so glamorized at the darts. I mean, I saw. I'm not into darts, so excuse me, but I saw one clip of this darts player stopping as he watched this guy down this like huge, I don't know, pint or whatever. And it was like, legend. And I just thought, Jesus. Part of me was like, grow up. But again, each to their own. But so I think in that environment, I think it would be difficult. I'm just fortunate enough that I don't surround myself with those people, and I think it would be difficult. Yeah.
And the last one we've got: is ditching alcohol actually a cheat code for success? Quite a good, nicely leads on to the next thing, I think.
I would say for focus and drive, for success, I can't speak about that because I'm not there yet. I would say it's definitely given me more.
Depends on what you define as success, I suppose.
No,
But
well, as far as
again,
life,
that's each of their own, isn't it?
yeah, as far as life is concerned, and I would probably say because it's been so normalized for so long, and it's just like you don't think it's an issue, it's just drinking or whatever. So I guess to remove it and seeing the world the way I do now, and having my free weekends, having the freedom, being able to hop in my car, not feeling like I'm imprisoned to alcohol. Personally, yeah, to put it bluntly, I would say I think it's a cheat code. However, I get people like a drink, they like the wine or whatever, and that's fine. And look at, when I look at people like yourselves, and look at what you've been able to achieve. So I'm not saying cut the booze and Jesus, look at this headquarters you've got now.
Yeah,
Think how big it would be if you didn't.
Yeah.
But some people got drive and some people don't. And I think I personally, considering how I feel, I think it's been a massive cheat code for me.
Yeah, amazing.
Definitely. But I wouldn't say as far as being successful or whatever, I'm not necessarily there yet when it comes to career, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, well, this is part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that leads us on to the last thing. You've set up a new venture?
Yeah. So basically, as I alluded to before, really, I was kind of already helping people. I was putting my stuff online, and I fell back into property. I was doing, I still am technically. I'm just, I do property investment here and there.
How could you not? You've been involved with it so long. You've got all that knowledge, haven't you? I mean, to then
Definitely.
completely let go might.
I think in a way it was at first
risky.
I was reluctant because I was worried I'd just fall into that trap. So I'm doing it, but more voluntarily on my own terms, etc. It's not a 9 to 5, and so that is still working its way in the background still. But whilst I was doing that and having the time, because waiting until the house to sell, I've got all this free time basically. Whilst I was helping people, I probably helped. I would probably say between five or seven people that I know of get sober, at least start their journey for free. And again, I'll check in with them. I'll just say, because again, it made me feel good. I was like, "How you doing, mate?" And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's been 2 months, 3 months." I'm like, "Oh, fucking yeah." And then I would look at the text, and honestly, it filled me with such pride. Like I would actually get a bit emotional. One guy was like, "Oh, I couldn't have done it without you," blah blah blah. And I remember getting in my car, and I had a little bit of a tear. I was like, "This feeling, I want more of this," but also, I can't just keep giving myself away for free. I can't, so I need to find a way.
Well, you kind of
I need
tested
to
the water
make
a bit,
money
haven't
from
you?
this.
Yeah, I need to monetize this.
Yes,
Capitalism.
This is just too good. So basically, I did a coach. I did a course, like a coaching course, and you can put that to any niche you want, really. So I decided, okay, well, what is it I'm passionate about? And I guess now I've got lived experience. So Zendurance coaching is kind of along the side of, it's along lines of sobriety, but it's just wellness. It's just kind of like, look, I want to be the guidance and help that maybe I didn't necessarily have, because I didn't see anyone in when I was going through what I was going through. If I saw someone that was the same size as me, had lost the weight, or said, look, just cut this out, do this, do that, and you would feel better for it, maybe I might have listened, but I didn't have a role model to look at, really. No one had really done it. I know my brother had stopped boozing, but he hadn't necessarily, but he was still in the same job and whatever. So I'm not saying quit your job, go to Thailand, do this, because
well, it's not feasible for everyone, is it?
No, exactly. So it's just making some changes, and again, I think it's really accountability, just having someone there to to
check in with,
share your wins with.
And I think for me, one of your selling points, if we're talking from a business perspective, is your openness and non-judgmental, I think, approach. Because I think ultimately there will be a lot of people who will be like, oh God, I don't want to do this. And then, because to me, to some degree, like I'm quite happy with drinking and eating burgers, but, or am I? Or maybe I need therapy, but that's another conversation. Not over a beer. But I think, it's that, like, I'm who I am. I've gone through this and it's worked for me. So why not? It could work for other people. I think that is great. I think that's a great starting point. Yeah.
I think, it's not, again, it's balancing that, not being too preachy, and also, I'm here if you want help, and if not, then fine. And
So is there anywhere that people can find out about that? It's really early days, isn't it? So how can people like reach out to you and even just start a conversation? How can they
definitely.
do it?
I mean, my inbox is always open. You'll find me on Instagram. I go by Zen Hen, and again, that was
absolutely love it.
So again, talk about taking ownership. That was a name that my mates gave me as a piss take before I went to Thailand.
That is class.
They were like,
that's even better.
They were like, it's superimposing my head onto a Buddha and like all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, Zen Hen, Zen, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
So Zen, that's where Zendurance comes from, of course. So Zen Hen on Instagram, and then you'll just find me as Henry Beercock on LinkedIn as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. That was as good as I thought it would be.
Oh, mega.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. No, thank you.